Alright, so now we're going to be programming the bug bot. So this one's going to be another remote control robot that you can have it drive around with the remote control, and then also use the other two buttons to speed it up and slow it down. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Just like what we normally do, we need to include the Smart Inventor library. And then since we're going to be using the remote control and the DC motors, we're going to need to use the TV Remocon use and the DC motor use commands. So that way it gets everything set up for us. So we can go ahead and get started. We'll read the remote and save that to a variable. So this should be familiar. We're going to save a variable named key data, and we're saving in TV Remocon data into it. Then we're going to go into the ifs for the moving around. So we're going to, just like what we normally do for ifs, we're going to go if key data is equal to one of the keys. We can then have the robot do what it's supposed to do. So for key U, which is the up button, we want to move forward. So we can go ahead and program it for it to move forward. And then we'll do the same for left, right, back, all that. So that's what this code will look like. So if it's left, we're going to move left. Right, we turn right. Down, then we go backwards. And then if none of these are being pressed, then we set it to loose. Just make sure that the first one's an if, and then it's else if all the way down, and the last one's an else. And that should get everything to work for you. Alright, so you should be able to drive your robot around, all that with this code. So now we can add in the speeding up and slowing down code. So the first thing we need to do is we have the speed variable that we actually haven't defined yet, so let's go ahead and define that real quick. So up here at the top, we're going to define speed as an int, and we're going to give it a default value of 50 to start with. That'll just kind of be our intermediate speed to get started with. Then we can go ahead and start programming the speed up and speed down. So what we're going to use is the F1 and F2 buttons. So button F1, which is that top left one, is going to be our speed up button. And then F2, which is going to be the top right button up there, that's going to be our slow down button. So as a separate set of if statements, separate from the rest, we're going to do these two. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we don't speed up too much, so that way we don't go faster than what our maximum speed is. This way we don't like go way up at the top end. So to do the speed up code, it's just simple. You guys should remember how to do that. You do speed equals speed plus 20, and that'll increase speed by 20. What we're going to do is we're then going to have it make a beep, so that way it kind of audibly lets us know that it sped up. And then we need to put a delay in. The reason for the delay is because otherwise what will happen is when you hold it, it'll speed up, and it'll come back through the code and it'll speed up again, and it'll come back through the code and speed up, and it'll just keep doing that. But if we put a delay, it means it can only come through every so often. So that way you can, if you press and hold it, it doesn't instantly go up to the maximum speed. It'll just slowly go up. This way it doesn't immediately do it. So now we're going to do the same thing for the other direction, except for this time we need to make sure that we're above 30 as a minimum, rather than making sure that we stay below a maximum. And again, we're going to subtract instead of increase, and we're also going to do make a little beep, and then we're also going to have the delay. So this should let your robot drive around, speed up, slow down, all that. But we don't necessarily know what speed we're going to be moving at. So we're going to create some LEDs to give us some feedback, so that way we know what speed we're moving at. Then we can know if we want to speed up or slow down without having to guess where we're at. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to tell the program that we're using the LEDs, and so we need to tell it that pins 11 through 18 are going to be outputs. Then what we're going to do is since we're starting out at 50, and that's kind of a medium speed, we're going to have the first 4 LEDs on, and they're going to be the middle 4 here. Then the way that's going to work is when you speed up, it'll turn on the next set of LEDs outside of it. So if you imagine this row of numbers here is each of your LEDs, with the numbers representing the pin number, all that. Each time you speed up, it'll light up the next set on the outside. And each time you slow down, it'll turn off the outside ones and just light up the inner ones then. So that's how it's going to work. So what we need to do is we need to make 2 variables that'll keep track of which lights are currently lit up, or which ones are currently the outer ones. So we're going to call it speed meter L and speed meter R. That'll keep track of the left and right ones. And they're going to start out with 13 and 16 since we're lining up these four. Then what we need to do is when we speed up, we need to change these variables so that they're looking at 12 and 17, and then we can turn those ones on. And then we'll do, when we're slowing down, what we'll do is we'll turn off. So let's say we move out like this. Then we need, since it's 12 and 17 are going to be stored in there at that time, we'll then need to turn off those ones and then move in a set. So the code to do that for the speed up looks like this. And we'll put it right here in between the speed up and the beep. So we first need to move the variable so that we're pointing out, so that way we're looking at the new LEDs, and then we need to turn them on. So this will turn on the next set of LEDs on the outside. Then for the slowing down, the code looks like this. So this one, what it'll do first is, since we're already speed meter L and R are already the outside ones, it turns those off, and then we move in a set. So this way when we go back through, it'll be looking at the next ones, and we can go through and everything will work. So now you should have your bug robot where you can drive it around, you can adjust the speed, and you can both hear when you change the speed, and you can see what speed you're moving at. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys learned something.